Okay, I think we're ready for hops.
Which, we're gonna go here first or here first?
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
We're at Breakside Brewery in Portland, Oregon, where a strange experiment is going on. The brewers just returned from a field a half hour south of here with a sack full of freshly picked hops. The delicate green flowers are shaped like little pine cones. Brewmaster Ben Edmonds and his team have put on safety goggles and heavy-duty rubber gloves. They're drawing out the flavor locked up inside the hops' tiny yellow glands by plunging them into a bath of liquid nitrogen.
Ready! Gas on.
Gas on!
The soft little flowers freeze and harden. It's a little hard to hear over all the industrial noises in the brewery, but once the frozen hops are stirred, they shatter with a sound like delicate breaking glass. Next, the brewers crush the shattered pieces of hops in a grinder.
Ready, go.
They carefully collect the shards in a sack and plunge it into a huge vat of beer.
This kind of guy that bottom in first. There you go.
Bottom in first,
Perfect.
Here we go.
There we go.
The result will become one of the hundreds of IPAs made every year in Oregon. I'm Jen Chavez, and you're listening to The Evergreen, a podcast about the place you call home. If you're cracking open a beer anywhere in the Pacific Northwest, chances are it's an IPA. Whether you're grabbing something from the cooler at your local convenience store or choosing a pint at a pub, you're sure to find a wide selection of this hoppy, crisp style of beer. The letters stand for India Pale Ale, but the IPAs widely available today actually have a strong connection to Oregon. I'm going to turn the podcast over now to author and journalist Jeff Allworth to tell the story of how a specific variety of hops grown by breeders in Oregon changed America's beer scene, almost by accident.
In the past 4 decades, Americans have transformed the way the world thinks about and makes its beer. I've spent 25 years learning and writing about beer, and if you ask me, Oregon often gets overlooked when we tell the American story. That's because people tend to begin the story with the formation of the first craft breweries in the late 1970s. In fact, the story begins 2 decades earlier in a hop field in the Willamette Valley. Brewers have been adding hops to beer for centuries. They help to keep the beer fresher longer, add bitterness to balance the sweetness of the malt, and, of course, add flavor and aroma. Oregonians have been growing hops almost since the territory became a state. By 1902, Oregon led the nation in hop production. Some of the largest farms have been around for generations.
In 1904, our grandparents planted the first crop of hops, and it was the first cash crop that came to the valley.
Gail Goshi is the 3rd generation to run her family's farm near Silverton. Hop farms are unusual and really striking. The hop vines grow up these 18-foot trellises spaced out in neat rows. Walking through them is like passing through a green cathedral. You look up and you see these vibrant leaves and the little green cones ripening in the sun. It smells spectacular. In late August and early September, the fields are buzzing with workers harvesting hops. Goshi explained that Oregon is the perfect spot to grow hops because of our long summer days.
It's day length that triggers the plant to go from being vegetable and just wanting to grow up to start to grow out, to put their arms on. The arms are where those hop cones and flowers are going to find their place.
One of the hop varieties she grows on her farm is called Cascade. This was the hop that would ultimately inspire craft breweries, and it was created at Oregon State University. The OSU-based hop breeding program dates back to the 1950s. Northwest farmers grew and even exported many hops at the time, but most brewers felt they were inferior to European varieties. American breweries were importing European hops to add the delicate flavors and aromas that people preferred in their beers. Oregon growers had tried planting European hops, but they just didn't taste right when grown here. The U.S. Department of Agriculture created a program to develop new types of hops that would grow in the Pacific Northwest.
So it came to the conclusion, hey, if we're going to get something that's going to work here in the United States, we've got to start breeding our own hops.
John Henning is a hop geneticist who works for both the USDA and Oregon State University. Henning's predecessors at Oregon State named the hop variety they cultivated after Oregon's Cascade Mountain Range. It was really fun to talk to him and nerd out about hops. He introduced me to the rub and sniff test brewers and breeders use to gain insight into the differences in hop aromas.
And we're just going to take a few of these hop cones, put them in our hands, and then rub the hands together like this, and then just bring it up to us and kind of smell what are some of the different aromas that we're getting from that.
It's very citrusy.
Very citrusy.
I'm getting a lime citrus, if I were to identify the variety of citrus.
Specific? Wow.
Yeah, I think.
I need to have you come out for hop harvest and help me out on this.
Now, nearly every commercial hop grown in the U.S. comes from Oregon, Washington, or Idaho, and the United States accounts for nearly half the hops grown in the world. American varieties are highly prized these days, but that wasn't always the case. In fact, domestic breweries largely rejected Cascade when it first hit the market.
And the funniest thing is that it was too flavorful for these major breweries. One of the major breweries here in the United States, the owner tried out a beer that had Cascade in it. And this particular day, he happened to develop a headache. And so this is a horrible hop. We don't like this. Get this out of my sight. We never want to see it in my facility again. So that was sort of the history for that particular brewery. And I think a lot of the others followed suit.
So, all that effort to breed a hop plant that could grow in the Pacific Northwest, and it appeared to be a flop. Fortunately, all that changed when craft breweries came along. The earliest craft brewers founded their companies because they felt that most of the beer in the U.S. was too bland. They liked Cascade because it was so intense.
I tell you, the Cascade grown in Willamette Valley knocks it out of the ballpark. Oh my God. They smell so good. I mean, they're luscious.
Terry Farendorf is a brewer I've known for a long time. I've come to think of her as the most important American brewer of the modern era. She was a pioneering brewer and trained dozens of people who went on to start their own breweries. Most importantly, though, she founded the Pink Boots Society. It's an organization for women and non-binary beer professionals that has transformed who makes our beer.
We have over 2,700 members worldwide, and it's not brewers. We decided women beer professionals. So if you work in the lab, if you're an accountant at Widmer Brewing, come on in.
On top of all that, Farendorf was one of the earliest brewers to test the limits of Pacific Northwest hops. She was the founding brewer at Eugene's Steelhead Brewing. When the brewery opened in January of 1991, one of the 5 beers on tap became a cult classic and a hugely influential beer in the Pacific Northwest. It was an IPA called Bombay Bomber.
People really liked it, and it had a pineapple grapefruit character, and I like to describe it as a party in your mouth. And I think I had them put that on the menu description at one point. But people were not really ready for the bitterness level, which was not super high, but at the time it was shocking.
I remember Bombay Bomber, and I understand why it shocked people who thought beer meant Budweiser. It was so citrusy, full-bodied, and generally intense. For the uninitiated, it didn't even seem like the same substance as domestic lagers. This was the moment an American approach to brewing was born. It didn't look like the methods people used to make beer in Germany or the UK. Farendorf used a technique in which hops are steeped in finished beer. That method has now become ubiquitous. Hops contribute bitterness to a beer, as well as flavor and aroma, but brewers have to use them in different ways to coax out these different qualities. Americans like Farendorf started developing techniques that amped up everything hops could offer.
And if you think of it kind of like a triangle, like we've just inverted it.
That's Ben Edmonds, the brewmaster of Breakside Brewery. He's another brewer I've known for years. In 2023, he won the Scherer Award from the Brewers Association. It ostensibly rewards innovation, but also functions as a kind of lifetime achievement award. I interviewed him at Breakside Brewery's tasting room in Milwaukee recently. He explained that brewers used to add a large amount of hops at the moment they started boiling the sweet liquid that will become beer.
American IPA, even beginning 10 years ago, is really starting to flip the script on that. And so you had very little hops being added now at the start of that boil, maybe zero in some cases until the end of that boil, and huge amounts of hops being added later on for aroma and flavor purposes.
The development of hops like Cascade and this new style of brewing evolved hand in hand. California tends to take the lion's share of credit for its influence on American beer culture, but in some key ways, Oregon has been more important. After Bombay Bomber, Portland's first craft brewery released a Bridgeport IPA in 1996. Other breweries followed with their own takes on hop-forward beers. And as they became more focused on hops for their beers, brewers spent more time talking to hop growers. Matt Sandoval is co-founder and brewer at Portland's Living House. I caught up with him in the tap room next to the brewery in their large Southeast Portland warehouse space. He started his career in San Diego. He says he didn't really develop relationships with growers until he moved to Oregon.
That's been a huge improvement in our ability to choose, what styles of hops we want to use for the next year and what exciting stuff might be coming up. We're actually talking to somebody about it and they're working on it.
That relationship goes both ways. Gail Goshi, the hop farmer, is excited to work directly with the people who use her hops.
Having brewers come out to the fields and walk the fields before harvest and be able to just kind of get their juices flowing as to what's happening, that's just remarkable for a farmer. It's something that is not traditional, and it happens in very, very few situations.
Hop breeders also get a lot of input from both brewers and growers. As IPA becomes the signature American beer style, brewers are looking for new varieties that lend even more flavors to their beer. USDA hop geneticist John Henning has been busy responding to those needs.
By working closely with the brewers, I've been able to come up with some lines that are super craft brewer focused. And one in particular has these chemicals that give the phenomenal flavors that we're all used to, your citrus, your passion fruit, tropical flavors, has 4 times the level of these chemical compounds as any of the other varieties that are out in the market.
IPAs aren't unique to Oregon anymore, and in fact, they're far and away the most popular craft style in the United States. But they've been here longer than anywhere else, and that has shaped the way locals think about beer. Brewer Matt Sandoval doesn't take that for granted.
So I've been here about 6 years now, and it's still every day really mind-blowing to me how unique this beer culture is to anywhere else that I've been. The general public is really into craft beer here, and that hasn't been a fad. It just sticks.
Sandoval also said he's noticed a difference in the way Oregonians drink. It's related to the fact that most places that serve beer also serve food, which isn't the case in much of the country.
It feels like the involvement of food keeps people a little tamer. It's a massive difference, and it's super noticeable when you first come here.
I have to agree. Beer is a more integrated part of Oregon culture. It's not just associated with partying. If you walk into a pub or restaurant and look who's drinking, it might be 2 older ladies in the corner or a mom and dad out to dinner with the kids. Beer is a part of everyday life in Oregon the way it is in few other places. The local culture around beer and the enthusiasm for it has led brewers to find new ways to get the most out of local hops. Ben Edmonds at Breakside explained that the liquid nitrogen process we heard about earlier is a finishing touch for one of his beers.
Basically, in the next half hour or so, we're going to be transferring finished beer onto it. It's going to recirculate. It's going to kind of pick up the flavor of those additional hops. And then it's going to get kegged off and be ready to serve. And it's kind of this beer that really celebrates and honors this year's hop harvest.
I think of beer as a cultural product that tells you a lot about the people who made it. And I might be biased, but I think Oregon beer is the best beer in the world. It makes sense. Oregonians are drawn to local agriculture. We've seen rows and rows of hop trellises growing green in the sun every summer. And many of us have been drinking beer made with those hops for years. It's no wonder we push breweries to make ales with ever more of their green goodness. Oregon didn't entirely invent IPAs, but it's hard to imagine IPAs without Oregon.
That was Jeff Allworth, journalist and author of The Beer Bible and other books. You can read an article he wrote about IPA and Oregon hops at opb.org. And And while you're there, you can also check out the Super Abundant team's video all about Oregon hop production. Thank you for listening to The Evergreen, a podcast from OPB. If you're here listening right now, you are part of our brand new podcast family. Help us grow by leaving a review on your favorite podcast app. Follow us there and, hey, tell your friends. Julie Sabatier produced this episode, and our technical director is Stephen Cray. He engineered this episode. The OPB podcast team also includes Mia Estrada and Sage Van Wing. Jeff Allworth, McGregor Campbell, and Jeff Kastner did the interviews you heard. The music in this episode is from Audio Network. If you have a question for us, please reach out. Email theevergreen@opb.org. I'm Jen Chavez. Catch you later.